Choip, choip, choip. Choip, choip, choip.
During the playing of this game, a profound thought occurred to me. What if Resident Evil had a laugh track? Surely someone, somewhere online must have cut something together by now of that nature. Zombies and comedy. Metal Dead is essentially that game. Malcolm is a leather-clad metalhead, who along with his roommate Ronnie emerge from their apartment and barrel headlong into the epicenter of the outbreak, and attempt to put a stop to it, like in the movies. Let's start with the visuals. It looks like a Flash game. The cartoony style fits with the humorous lean, and the grunginess fits with the whole metal thing. And it's surprisingly cute, especially when Malcolm's face softens. But it's definitely not for everyone. It is grungy. In fact, if you don't get into it, you might find it downright ugly. Edgy, scratchy cartoon lines don't gel with everyone. And not everyone will be able to overlook the almost barren nature produced by large surfaces in the background. One solid color. No textures, very few shades. But I recommend you look past all of this for the sake of the dialogue, which is funny, and not in the way point-and-click adventure games usually are. It's crass in a sweary way, and it's gross in a violent and toilet humor way. Well, other adventure games do have these things, but the extent differs vastly. This game does it in a less benign way. More accidental gory death, less spitting contest. There's viscera everywhere. Almost on every single screen there's blood. Don't get me wrong, it's a smart game, it's just a bit more direct. And that direct nature is carried over into the puzzle solving. Or, if you want to be harsh, the lack thereof. In this sense, the gameplay is extremely straightforward for a point-and-click puzzle adventure. The standard classic elements of the genre are here. You go from area to area, picking up items, combining them in various ways to try and solve a particular problem. But usually in this genre, you get issued a fairly simple problem. Something that could be solved in any number of mundane ways. And you have to combine fairly standard items, some of which have absolutely no business being in the areas you found them, to use them in ludicrous roundabout ways to solve the issue at hand, and progress. Usually there, experimentation and actually figuring out what to do, what to combine with each other and where to use it, makes up the bulk of the gameplay. I know that definition of point-and-click adventure games is slightly harsh, but it comes from someone who really loves this genre. Yet, Metal Dead is refreshingly different. It seems like I have to get past the zombie. There haven't been that many areas to explore at this point in the game, and I doubt I've missed anything. Surely the answer can't be this easy. No way. This is inconceivable. Yes! Finally! There was a problem in a point-and-click adventure game, and boom! Solved! No more problem! Finally acknowledgement by point-and-click adventure game that some problems can be solved by taking the item in your hand and ramming it through the person blocking your path. Relief. As I've said, refreshing. On the other hand, though, it means that a lot of the gameplay's gone. The game is kind of easy and short, even by adventure game standards. It clocks in at about 6 hours, and I tried to use all the context-specific actions in order to read all of the possible dialogue. Sure, some of them are reused to fill in the gaps, but some of them are worthwhile and quite funny, and are quite easy to miss if you're not looking for them. Trying to find those snippets of dialogue, as well as reading the dialogue as it unfolds in the story, is pretty much the meat of this game. If you can't appreciate the game on a story level, then this game is probably not for you. And that makes this next point more pertinent, where some a deal breaker here might be the fact that there are no voiceovers. You have to read everything. So if that's going to be a problem for you, this game isn't for you as well. Another nice thing, it's also a bit different in terms of design, as all of the action almost takes place in the same building, making the game adventure a bit more compact and requiring you to move vertically, instead of horizontally across a city, kingdom, or the Caribbean. And the elevator sort of acts as a sort of gauge for how far along you are in the story, with higher floors usually meaning you're closer to the end of the game. The game is cheap on Steam, only 42 Rand full price, and I've seen it go for 21 Rand on sale. That's 3 Rand 50 per hour of gameplay, which is quite good. I've seen better, but it's pretty good. And the download is okay, as it doesn't take up the most amount of space on the hard drive, but it's not ideal at 1469 megabytes on the hard drive. For some it might be problematically big, because it's quite big compared to the short length. And I guess this goes without saying, but this game is kind of not kid-friendly in any measure. And it does work on the Warhorse quite well, actually without incident. And when you consider the game's visuals, I don't think there's much in today's world that wouldn't be able to play it. Unless you're talking about something truly old. So it's easy to run, cheap, but it doesn't last long. And while it's not the worst download, it is bad enough to be problematic for those with data constraints. It's a funny adventure game, unique in terms of its design and the kind of humor it employs. And I love how grungy and gory it is, but I know that's not everyone's cup of tea. Some people might find it downright cute, others downright ugly. On the maybe side, this game is mostly story. Story is the main draw of this game, because the puzzles are so simplistic and straightforward, they really don't offer any challenge. So you probably have to be able to appreciate a game's story merits to have any chance of liking this game. And especially because of that, people who find having to read in a game a deal breaker will find it especially deal breaking here. And on the con side, alongside the already mentioned lack of difficulty, I'm gonna put the visuals here again, because I'm pretty sure most of you are gonna find it grating instead of cute. Come on, play it. It's a sort of cheap, weird, artsy option. Yes, yes, yes. So highbrow.
Cheap, cheap, cheap. Cheap, cheap, cheap.